Hello. Welcome everybody to Palestinian Solidarity Day. Appreciate everybody coming out. Before we begin, can I get a free Palestine? Free Palestine! Now, without further ado, I want to introduce our host for today's event, Miss Naziha Mustafa.
Hello everyone, my name is Naziha and I'll be serving as your MC today. We gather at a time of deep pain and uncertainty, but also a time of courage, conscience, and community. Today is remembering that behind every headline are human beings, families, children, and elders who deserve safety, dignity, and a future rooted in justice and peace. I wish this for my people, the Palestinians, and everyone else in the world. Solidarity means refusing to look away from injustice and choosing instead to listen, to learn, and to stand together. Over the course of this event, we'll hear from speakers and artists who will help us reflect, grieve, and also imagine a different future for Palestine, one grounded in freedom and equality. Thank you again for showing up, for caring, and for standing in solidarity with my people, the Palestinians. We'll be guided by words from faith leaders who remind us that justice and compassion are shared values across traditions. I want to welcome our clergy for the Jewish, Christian, and Muslim communities who have joined us today to offer prayers and reflections for peace, dignity, and freedom for the Palestinian people. First up, we'll have our Jewish clergy, Rabbi Holtzman.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be here today, and an honor to celebrate the beauty of Palestinian culture. Today, in the Jewish calendar, is Shabbat, the Jewish Sabbath. It's a sacred day of rest and celebration in the week. It's an honor to take this time on my Sabbath day to be here in solidarity with all of you, all of us together. Here in solidarity, here in sadness, here in commitment, and here in celebration of Palestinian life. Solidarity because I know that as a Jew, we are all siblings. We are all engaged in a closely related struggle. Solidarity because in the name of the Jewish community, Israel has destroyed so many Palestinian lives. And solidarity because so many of us need to stand together to oppose that destruction. And sadness because the destruction and the killing continue. We cannot be fully joyous when there is so much pain. And commitment to the Palestinian people everywhere, determined not to end our opposition to this injustice as long as it continues. Never. But also, with all of this, celebration. Celebration because Palestinian culture is glorious, is beautiful, is delicious, and is robust. We cannot see it and experience it without celebrating. So as we move into this wonderful celebration of Palestinian life, I pray. I pray for an end to the injustices committed against the Palestinian people. May we all stay engaged in the struggle to end this pain as long as we are needed. I pray for an end to the sadness and insecurity, and for a vibrant future for the Palestinian community everywhere. May we all come to know and appreciate the beauty of Palestinian culture. May all come to see the warmth and generosity of the Palestinian people. May all Palestinians, whether in the Middle East or in this country, know the pure joy of freedom, of being treated justly and respectfully everywhere, and may our lives and our cultures be entwined with joy and vibrancy, and may we all continue to celebrate Palestinian life. Amen.
Thank you so much, Rabbi, for your words. And it's just a reminder again that we're not falling for the traps of what Israel is feeding to us, that to speak against Israel, you're somehow anti-Semitic. So thank you so much, Rabbi, for your words. Next up, we have the Muslim clergy, Dr. Sheikh Nasr.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Welcome all to this special day to stand with the Palestinian people. The tragedy of the Palestinians did not begin on October 7, 2023. This tragedy began since 1917. When the British occupation came to Palestine, then the Zionists came and occupied Palestine. All of us hear the media, what happened in Gaza. 10% of the Palestinians in Gaza were either killed or wounded. 2.5 million were forced to move from their homes and Gaza was destroyed. Our holy places for Palestinian and Christian, all the time they tried to make it hard for the worshippers to make their prayers in Palestine, either in Jerusalem or Bethlehem or in any other places. Not only that, but in West Bank, every day, the Zionists try to steal more lands, kill more people. We can't stay silent for these massacres and genocide against the Palestinian people. All of us saw in life before 2 or 3 days, 2 young people. They were not armed, but the soldiers killed them live in the front of the cameras they did not do anything. Just they killed them in the front of the whole cameras and no one even say anything about that. So the blood of the Palestinian in there, they thought that it's cheap and they can do whatever they want with the Palestinian, but no more silent. We have to stand to support the Palestinian people from now on, and we are all with Palestine and against the occupation. We as Muslim, Christian, and Jew with the Palestinian people against the occupation. Thank you.
Our next clergy is the Christian clergy, Reverend Khader Khalilia. That's my brother's name.
It's good to be with you. And the prophet Micah wrote, "What does the Lord require of you but to do justice, to love kindness, and walk humbly with your God." Let us pray. God of justice and compassion, we gather today as people of many faiths to stand in solidarity with the Palestinian people and with all who suffer in the land we call holy. We lift before you the cry rising from Gaza and the West Bank, the cry beneath the rubble, the cry of widows and orphans, the cry of families displaced and starving, the cry of a people living under what the world now names genocide. Oh The church has proclaimed for centuries that we meet Christ among the crucified of this world. And so we confess, if the church cannot see Christ in the suffering of Palestine, then the church has lost sight of Christ himself. Lord, we bring before you our questions. Where are you when hospitals and homes of worship are bombed? Where are you when olive trees are burned? Where are you when violence is blessed in your name? And yet your word tells us where you are. You are not with empires. You are not in the bombs or the walls. You are with the crucified. You are in Gaza, under the rubble. You are with the refugees, the wounded, the terrified. Give us courage, O God, because the neutrality is not neutral. The neutrality sides with the powerful. The middle is where injustice survives. Your gospel demands response. Our discipleship demands courage. On this day, we pray for smooth steadfastness. Steadfastness for families holding tight to the keys of their destroyed homes. Steadfastness for poets writing poetry under the rubble. Steadfastness for children in Bethlehem who still dare to dream of freedom. Steadfastness for all who refuse to surrender their humanity. As the prophet Habakkuk prayed, though the fig tree does not blossom, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will exult in the God of my salvation. Strengthen us in that same hope. Make our prayer a form of resistance, a refusal to accept injustice as normal, a declaration that faith cannot be extinguished by siege or wars or genocide. And so we pray today for courage to stand with the oppressed, to stand with the truth, to stand with justice, to let our God be a God of mercy, not the idol of empire. Because the question is not, where is God? The question is, where are God's people? May we be found faithful. May we be found practicing Sumut. Amen.
And really, listening to all the clergy, we're reminded again that we're not going to fall for the traps of the Zionists who want us to be divided and fight with each other. And we go to the basics, that regardless of what you believe, whether you believe in God or even don't even believe in God, we can all agree that obliterating kids to pieces is not okay. Our next speaker, we're going to have, our next guest is a member of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, a dedicated public servant to our community. Please join me in welcoming Representative Danilo Burgos.
Good afternoon. I am Danilo Burgos, a state representative, and I'm here as a friend of the Palestine community, as a brother to Palestine people that live here in Philadelphia and across Pennsylvania. The great book teaches us that we're supposed to leave this earth a little bit better than we find it. And yet, unfortunately today, we find ourselves raising the voice of poor children that are dying in Palestine. It's unfortunate that we have so much money to spend to destroy human life, but we don't have money to provide free public transportation, to provide free medical for our communities here in the States. So I commend each and every one of you, especially the Jewish community, for being here. Because it's time that we stand up, that we keep fighting, that hate that's spreading from Washington all the way to Israel. So thank you. And greetings from the House of Representatives. Whereas the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people has been observed for more than 4 decades by the United Nations and by the Palestinian communities around the world on the date of November 29th. The International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people is at once a cultural celebration and an act of visibility, and an occasion of reflection, education, and commitment to just and peaceful future. And whereas Philadelphia is a city shaped by successive waves of immigrants, rooted in the liberty and freedom, which understands that the pursuit of liberty is a universal human endeavor, and that this denial anywhere is a crack in the bell everywhere. And whereas Philadelphia has been home to a vibrant Palestinian American community for over a century, with the first Palestinian immigrant arriving in the early 1900s. Philadelphia Palestinian community enriches the city's tapestry, adding its music, its food, and its art to the city cultural heartbeat. For the annual Philadelphia Palestinian Film Festival, to the aroma of fresh za'atar and bread from a bakery in West Philly, to community centers and coffee shops where the Arabic language blends with the distinctive Philly accent. Whereas it be resolved that a copy of this citation sponsored by this servant and Representative Fiedler be transmitted to the Philadelphia community of Palestinian Philadelphia in recognition of International Day in Solidarity with the Palestinian people, November 29, 2025.
Our next guest will be representing the office of State Senator Nikil Saval.
I'm so happy to be able to present this on behalf of Senator Nikil Saval. And this is very similar to the proclamation that you just heard from Representative Burgos and co-sponsored by Representative Fiedler. Just recognizing these wonderful contributions from the Palestinian community to our vibrant and wonderful city, and appreciating the solidarity that we have with them, and also acknowledging the suffering that Palestinian people have endured, and holding them close to our hearts and our community. So there is one small change in the proclamation that you heard from Representative Burgos, and that is this. Whereas, over the course of their history, the Palestinian people have endured hardships, cultural erasure, and genocide. More than 60,000 people have been killed in the current conflict, including more than 20,000 children, and hundreds of thousands more have been displaced. Some 80% of all structures in Gaza have been damaged, destroyed, or destroyed, devastating the people and the institutions that sustain the Palestinian culture in Gaza. So in solidarity, Senator Saval's office offers this proclamation.
We're also joined by a powerful voice from Philadelphia City Council, someone who has been a strong advocate for working families and justice in our city. Please help me welcome Councilwoman Kendra Brooks.
My name is Councilmember Kendra Brooks, and I'm proud to serve as the minority leader on Philadelphia City Council, and I'm honored to be here today. I'm also bringing an official City Council resolution celebrating and honoring the International Day of Solidarity for Palestinian people. Why is this so important? When we were at the ceremony the other day, I had a chance to hear June and so many others speak of the path forward, like all that has been done to continue to celebrate getting the flag raised. Can we get the flag raised? Can it be on the grounds? And this year we were able to have it in the halls of City Hall, which is amazing. So on Thursday, I introduced this resolution along with Council Members Jones and O'Rourke. And I want to thank you all who came out to City Hall to testify your support of the resolution and speak out about how this issue impacts you directly and why it matters so much to us all. I know that sometimes it feels like you're yelling into the air and no one's listening. But I want you to know that I hear you, I see you, and I'm deeply grateful for the work that you're doing to bring this issue to the forefront and not letting it disappear. what we know is that the Palestinian people has faced threats of genocide and erasure for the course of history. The current conflict has claimed so many lives of children, including thousands of children that we've heard of. But I've heard from so many Philadelphians about the deep sadness and anger and hopelessness that they felt watching this humanitarian crisis unfold. But today, in this space, we're holding space for it all, holding space for sadness and anger, but we also are celebrating the beauty, the joy, and the resilience of Palestinian people and all the ways that you enrich our city. With today's celebration, we are affirming the human rights of Palestinian people. We're supporting Palestinian communities and preserving their culture and broadening the movement for a sustainable and peaceful resolution to this ongoing conflict. I'm so glad to see this coalition come together with over 20 organizations just to host this event today, and I'm honored to be a part of celebrating this with you. Now, my city council resolution reads very similar to the ones that have already been read. So I just want to say thank you all for bringing us all together. Let's continue to hold and lift each other up, and let's continue to move this movement towards what we see for our futures. Thank you so much for having me.
First, thank you everyone for being with us today. And for those who don't know who I am, my name is Samah Elhajibrahim. But I want to point out something very important. Anyway, these three resolutions are not just important for our community. I want to point out that Representative Danilo, Senator Saval, and Councilwoman Kendra Brooks did not just come on board and started supporting our community. They have been there way back there before October 7th. What has changed is today is they have brought City Council along with them. They have brought the State House of Representatives. They brought the Senate with them. And that's what we have achieved today. Next year, year after that, we're going to have some Congress people here and U.S. Senate. Thank you very much. These three resolutions will be placed at Al-Hidayah Islamic Center for safekeeping and for remembering. So, Sheikh Nasr, we're going to give this to you to keep with us.
No more silence. We're going to go hard into 2026 and fighting, advocating for Palestine and reaching out to all our representatives. I know it doesn't seem like it's doing anything, but little by little we'll get there. Our next speaker is a respected voice for the Philadelphia Palestinian community, deeply engaged in advocacy and care for our people here and abroad. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Samah Elhajibrahim.
Thank you all for coming today, for showing up for Palestine and for the Palestinian people. In the face of prolonged suffering and political struggle, the full humanity of people can often be overlooked. The world may see Palestinians through the lens of conflict and victimhood. Many times, we are stripped of our full humanity. We are seen as political problems, perpetrators of violence or security threats. Even in well-meaning advocacy and political discourse, we are defined solely by our suffering and reduced to passive recipients of violence. But behind the struggle, there is a people with beautiful, enduring culture that deserves to be celebrated. The Palestinian people have a rich cultural heritage. Palestinians are people who love life, and their experiences include not only stories of pain, but also of joy, community, and traditions. The Palestinian spirit and their love of life are found in the stitches of tatreez. This Palestinian embroidery is not merely a craft, but a celebration of life, identity, and heritage. Every cross-stitch and every pattern have a meaning. The palm tree stitch is a symbol of life and vitality. The bird represents freedom. The flower, beauty. The stitching on the Jerusalem dress has a tree of life embroidery, symbolizing strength, while the stitches on Ramallah dress has farmer's branch, and it symbolizes growth and a deep connection to the land. You can identify a woman's home city just by the stitch and the pattern of her dress. Tatreez is a visual language that tells stories. It is a wearable autobiography. The Palestinian spirit is also found in the Dabke folk dance that physically shakes the ground and declares unity, strength, and joy. It is found in the sound of oud, a musical instrument that carries both sorrow and an immense joy. It is the sound of a history that is both painful and beautiful. And of course, for Palestinians, life is always celebrated with food. I was told that there's only going to be finger food. Well, if you look inside there, it's not going to be finger food. So we have friki and matlubi. But food is more than sustenance. It is the primary language of community and love. The flip in the matlubi dish is itself a moment of shared joy and anticipation. The headlines miss this vibrant culture that persists against all odds. It does not report on this, it only reports on the tally death and report on what's being broken and taken away. It does not report on the students who attend online university in Gaza in the midst of the bombings, or the singers who incorporated their tempo to the hum and the buzzing of the drum. The Palestinian people assert that nothing can break their humanity, their hope, and their unwavering will to live and to enjoy life. Celebrating and finding a joy in our culture and traditions is a conscious choice to affirm life while everything around us negates it. Enjoying life is not an ignorance of the struggle, but a form of resistance. It is the very thing that allows us to endure the struggle and the pain. And as Mahmoud Darwish said, وَنَحْنُ نُحِبُّ الْحَيَاةَ إِذَا مَا اسْتَطَعْنَا إِلَيْهَا سَبِيلًا. And we love life if we find a way to it. Thank you.
From the Prayers for Peace Alliance, let's welcome Justin Marshall.
Hello, Philadelphia. It's so good to be here in solidarity with all of you. I'm representing Prayers for Peace Alliance, which was founded 2 years ago this month to bring together Jews and Palestinians to protest the Gaza genocide and oppose the brutal military occupation of Palestine that has been ongoing now for 3 generations and counting. And I learned quickly from my Palestinian partners in this work that solidarity, real solidarity, has to also mean fighting anti-Palestinian racism right here in the United States. Because for far too long, prejudice against Palestinians has been thoroughly normalized in our society. And this is a prejudice that doesn't just influence individual behavior, it also impacts the behavior of schools, religious institutions, and the media, not to mention the policies of our government. It is what we might call systemic racism. Let's take, for example, the Trump administration's targeting of Palestinians and their allies for deportation. This was their attempt to set a precedent for deporting people who are in this country legally, and they started with Palestinian immigrant and activist Khader Khalilia. The Trump administration believed that those who might otherwise oppose their illegal deportation scheme would be divided on whether to stand up for a Palestinian. And what might have given them that idea? Consider that the Democratic Party refused to allow a Palestinian speaker on their convention stage to endorse Kamala Harris. The lesson here is that pandering to racism of any kind, including anti-Palestinian racism, has a corrosive effect on all of our rights and freedoms. Now, I'd like to share something from my own life. Some time ago, my pro-Palestine activism made me the target of a doxing campaign, something that I am sadly not alone in. My employer was bombarded with emails and phone calls demanding that I be fired, but my boss did the right thing. She saw through the disinformation and made clear right away that she had my back. In this situation, I had the privilege of being Jewish, which made obvious how ridiculous the accusations against me were. But not everyone gets that benefit of the doubt, which makes it all the more important that we stand up to those who try to bully Palestinians and their allies into silence. Because, to paraphrase Angela Davis, when it comes to any form of discrimination, it is not enough to just commit to not being racist. We must be actively anti-racist. It is not enough to just treat anti-Palestinian racism at the individual level. We must face it head-on at the systemic level. This means ending partnerships with organizations that have a proven track record of anti-Palestinian racism. And here I'll name the Anti-Defamation League as an example. It means school policies that affirm the right of Palestinian students to express their own culture and advocate for their own people. And at the ballot box, it means voting for candidates who are demonstrably anti-racist. May we build a world in which standing in solidarity with our Palestinian neighbors is not such a brave thing to do. That's what all of you are doing today. Thank you.
Next, we will have our next guest is an organizer and an advocate with the Philadelphia Indivisible, working to build a more just and accountable democracy. Please help me welcome Vicki Miller.
What a wonderful, wonderful group. First, I want to thank Sam for inviting me to speak today. Thank you so much. I am a group leader in Indivisible Philadelphia. But first, I want to say how wonderful it is to be among the Palestinian community and how impressive it is, all of the wonderful attributes that you all have brought to this city. It is a gift to Philadelphia that the Palestinian community is here. There's no doubt about that. It's such a gift. So just a little background about me and our group. I founded the group Indivisible Philadelphia in January 2017, and for the first 8 years, we focused on elections and voter engagement, voter education, and of course holding our elected officials accountable. And that was a lot. However, now, of course, we have an added responsibility because we are basically in an authoritarian country now. An authoritarian wannabe, a king wannabe, if you will. And how do we know that? It's because the research tells us, the research over decades of countries this has happened to, tells us that that's where we are now. What does an authoritarian do? An authoritarian runs investigations about their critics. We see this every day. Deploy military domestically federal law enforcement overreach, including, as was mentioned, what's happening to immigrant communities all over the country. So I was asked to speak about where our country is right now and what we can do about it, especially what we can do about it together and the importance of that. So, the research also tells us that communities need to rise up together and take certain tactics, which is what we've started to do. We know that if we want the world that we want to live in, we have to do both. We have to elect the right people, as has been mentioned, and we have to weaken this regime that we're facing. And so we're in all of that together. So, what does this regime want us to do? It wants us to give up on our elections and our democracy. It wants us to excuse his crackdowns. It wants us to choose comfort over courage. It wants us to fight each other, forget that the stakes are so high, and to feel like we are alone. We know from today we're not alone. So we will not give them what they want. There are two main things that we can do. First of all, we can protest and use persuasion. We see some of the protests. You may know the No Kings rallies, the No Kings protests, and of course in April, our Hands Off protest. Those were huge. Many more people came out every time because neighbors saw that their neighbors were going to these, and it was peaceful, and they could get off the couch and they could go out and show how they felt too, in a group that was joyful and powerful. And it becomes powerful and more powerful every time we do it. But the thing is, these protests are happening all over the country every single day of the week. They're happening in this city every day of the week. For all different parts of the causes that we all support. Plus, we saw what happened with the Tesla protests, right? What happened to his bottom line. The Avello Airlines protests, if you don't know about those, Avello Airlines flies detainees to detention camps. Those protests have been going on all over the country, and it has changed what they are able to do. And so these things become very strong and very powerful, but the more people who do it, the stronger they become. So then the next thing, the other thing that we can do is have defiance. And what does that mean? That means protests and boycotts. You might not know, but right now there's a boycott this weekend. It's called We Ain't Buying It. And it is boycotting, some people know about it, boycotting Amazon and Target and Walmart. Walmart is allowing ICE into their stores to round up people. We know what Target did, and we know that the boycotts of Target had an impact on its bottom line. And then, of course, Amazon. Home Depot, yes. I'm sorry, I said Walmart. I'm so sorry. Home Depot. Home Depot, that's bad. Home Depot, right. And then, of course, Target, and then, of course, Amazon. Amazon is doing whatever it can to appease this regime, and we have to stop using them. Tomorrow is, what's it called? Thank you, Cyber Monday. If you can, don't buy anything from Amazon tomorrow. It would be part of the good effort. So, these are just some of the things we're working on. We are also pushing back against corporations that are capitulating and other pillars of support for the regime, universities, faith institutions, the media, because when they don't do the right thing, they will hear about it from us. So if you would like to join in this, let me know. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you.
The next speaker should have been Rueda Araf, who was on the Freedom Flotilla, but her flight actually got delayed 3 times. So she got kidnapped by the Israelis, and now her flight is delayed. So, but we're going to be having the amazing Jonathon Kuttab's brother as our speaker.
I know many of you came hoping to hear Rueda Araf, who is a wonderful, powerful speaker and non-violence activist. She was with one of the creators of the ISM movement, International Solidarity Movement. She has been practicing what she preaches about non-violent resistance, and she was involved in the flotilla of ships that went to Gaza and got herself arrested. And even after they released most of the people on those ships, they kept her in jail because she happened to be a holder of Israeli citizenship. So she's a Palestinian who's also an Israeli citizen. They kept her in jail and they were planning to give her a much longer sentence, and she went on a hunger strike until they were forced to release her. So I am honored to stand in her shoes today and hopefully give the kind of presentation that she would have liked to give. A presentation about nonviolence and nonviolence resistance as part of the Palestinian struggle. Now, I have to start by saying that even though I am a pacifist and a strong believer in nonviolence, I must tell you that as a lawyer, the international law allows and permits Palestinians and every people who are under occupation and oppression to use armed struggle. It just so happens that we believe that there are other forms of struggle which can be as effective, if not more effective, than armed resistance. And I'm here today to tell you a few things about nonviolent resistance. And the first thing that I want to say is that it is not an easy, cowardly path to avoid armed struggle. To the contrary, it requires as much, if not more, courage, discipline, training, and yes, resources to engage in non-violent struggle. Also, it is not something new for Palestinians. I know that the media has made the word Palestinian synonymous with terrorism. Every act of legitimate armed struggle is labeled terrorism. So that's what happens in people's mind. But the Palestinian people have been practicing nonviolence for a long, long time in their history. And I'm glad that that is beginning to become recognized these days. If any of you have heard of BDS, boycotts, divestments, and sanctions, they are all non-violent forms of struggling against the Israeli occupation and the ongoing oppression of the Palestinian people. And that is not just because a small faction or a few liberals have decided on it. In fact, the people in Gaza, for example, were engaged in the long march of return, where they came by the tens of thousands and risked their lives in a non-violent movement towards the wall that was surrounding them. And the result was a bloody massacre. In a single day, 62 non-violent resistors were killed by snipers, killed and shot dead, even though they offered no resistance. They were not really endangering anybody's life. They were not terrorists. They were simply fighting and resisting in a non-violent method. The flotillas that have been going to Gaza, the people who say, we want to break this evil siege on the people, that's not allowing food, that's not allowing water, that's not allowing medicines, that's not allowing baby formula into these people. To break this siege non-violently is what the flotilla has been all about. So maybe we really need to redefine what we mean by violence and by non-violence. Frankly, for most Palestinians, when they think of violence, they think of a bulldozer that's coming to destroy their homes. They think of a wall that's preventing them from reaching their loved ones or going to worship or going to their fields. They think of the checkpoints and they think of the blockades. And if you know anything about what's happening in the West Bank recently, we have seen a multiplying of roadblocks. They're big metal gates that are on almost every entry to every village and every town and every community that the Israelis close and open at will. That is violence, not just the guns and the shooting. That is the violence that needs to be resisted. And sometimes non-resistance takes happy forms. I think every Palestinian dress that we see, as we heard before, the dabke, the food, the songs, the joy, the watermelons, the flags, the singing, the oud, all of these are expressions of non-violent resistance. Even the word Palestine, Palestinian, for a long time was being forbidden. And the fact that the Palestinian people continue to exist means that we continue to resist. Now the other side has been trying to make Palestinian solidarity a criminal thing. There are laws against BDS, even though it's totally non-violent. There is now the attempt to create laws against hate speech. Never mind the First Amendment, never mind freedom. Anything that opposes Israel's genocide and occupation is being defined as hate speech. Well, let me be frank with you. I will admit it before everybody. Yes, we have hate speech. We hate discrimination. We hate racism. We hate oppression. We hate occupation. We hate genocide. We hate every policy that kills and destroys and robs our freedom and denies our humanity. But we love freedom. When we say free, free Palestine, what we mean is may Palestine be free of all those oppressive policies. May Palestine be free of racism and discrimination. May Palestine be free of apartheid and occupation. May Palestine be a symbol of equality for everybody. Now, if you believe in Jewish supremacy, that Jews somehow need to be dominant and in control of some place, that is, after all, the definition of what Zionism is. They want a Jewish state, a Jewish place where Jews are dominant and in power and in control. If you believe in that ideology, then anybody who talks about equality is your enemy. Anybody who wants freedom for everybody is a problem for you. I believe that it is possible for Jews and Palestinians, Christians and Muslims to live together and to be free and to enjoy dignity and equality. I even wrote about this. I have a little book called Beyond the Two-State Solution, where I try to give a vision of how Palestine can be. You can download it by way for free from Nonviolence International. I'll have a copy out there if you want to know how you can download it for free in Arabic, Hebrew, or English. We can imagine a better world, better for Jews and for Palestinians, where we can live together in dignity and equality, no matter who's the majority and no matter who's the minority. We can live together. It is a lie that we hate each other and have been hating each other for generations. It's a lie. For 13 centuries, since the time of the Crusades, before the past century, Jews and Christians and Muslims did live together in peace in the Holy Land. So it's not true that we cannot live together in peace. We can. But the condition has to be equality. The condition has to be mutual respect. The condition has to be a system that allows each community and each individual to live in liberty. That is why when we talk about nonviolence, we're not talking about giving up the fight. We are talking about fighting even better, fighting even more, fighting in a way that doesn't kill and destroy each other, but that builds and creates conditions for all of us to survive and thrive and enjoy life more abundantly in equality and in dignity. This is the goal that we work for, this is what we believe in, and that is something that is worth celebrating as well as engaging in. So I thank all of you who came here, because solidarity with the Palestinian people today means an assertion of our common humanity. We are all equal, and we can all live together in peace and justice. Thank you.
And as Jonathon said, even being here is a form of resistance. But I do want to take a couple seconds as a Palestinian, and I know this is probably I'm going to get some heat for this, but I do want to recognize that also the quote-unquote violent resistance, the freedom fighters in Palestine that are risking everything, are Palestinian heroes. The West wants to paint them as these barbaric people that want to just kill. They don't want to kill. They want to live. They want to go home to their kids and to their wives. They want to study. They want to live how we live, but they're forced. They're forced to take that route because they have an apartheid regime that's out to unalive them. They don't care, man, woman, baby. So these freedom fighters that are risking everything are heroes, and don't be shy. Don't let people make you think that they're villains. It goes hand in hand together. What we do here and what they do there, it's together. Okay, now I gave my freedom fighters a little shout out. Now to the poetry. We'll move on now to our first poetry reading of the evening. Samah Elhajibrahim read us the poem, If I Must Die.
So, this poem was written in 2011 by Khader Khalilia, and he was murdered in 2023. I'm going to read it in Arabic first, and then he wrote it in English, and then it was translated into Arabic. إن كتب علي الموت فعليكم أنتم أن تعيشوا لتحكوا قصتي ولتبيعوا أشيائي وتشتروا قطعة قماش وخيطان اجعلوها بيضاء بديل طويل من أجل طفل في مكان ما في غزة يناظر الجنة في عينيها منتظرا أباها الذي رحل فجأة وما ودع أحدا وما ودع لحمه وما ودع روحه من أجل طفل في مكان ما في غزة يرى طائرتي أنا التي صنعتموها تطير فوق عاليا فيظنها لوهلة ملاكا رجع إليه بالحب فيظنها لوهلة ملاكا رجع إليه بالحب علي الموت فليجلب موتي أمل وليكن موتي حكاية. If I must die, you must live, to tell my story, to sell my things, to buy a piece of cloth and some strings. Make it white with a long tail, so that a child somewhere in Gaza, while looking heaven in the eye, awaiting his dad who left in a blaze, and bid no one farewell, not even to his flesh, not even to himself, sees the kite, my kite you made, flying up above, and thinks for a moment, an angel is there, bringing back love. If I must die, let it bring hope, let it be a tale. Thank you.
I'm going to quickly read out the co-sponsoring organizers, and if I read your name or the organization, come up, please. The Philadelphia Palestinian Americans, Al-Hidayah Islamic Center, Prayers for Peace Alliance, Reclaim Philadelphia, Rabbis for Ceasefire, Palestine Justice Network, Peace and Justice Sustainability, Mennonite Action, If Not Now, Philadelphia Chapter of American Friends of Combats for Peace, Care Philadelphia, Fridays at Fetterman, Families for Ceasefire, Red Letter Christians, Philadelphia Democratic Socialist of America, El Bustan Seeds of Culture, Jewish Boomers Against Occupation, Korea Peace and Justice of Philadelphia, Presbyterian Palestine Justice Network, FOSNA, Nonviolence International, Jewish Voice for Peace, JVP, Indivisible, Philadelphia, Philly Metro, Unitarian Universalists for Justice in the NE.
These are the groups that have stood with us, advocated with us, have been in the cold out there with us, and they have really shown the solidarity to us. As a result, we want to present them with a small token to remember us. We're just going to pass right through to everybody. One for each person. It's the poem, If I Must Die. And we appreciate their solidarity. Now we're going to go and enjoy the night, evening, with some music, dance, a fashion show. So relax, smile. There's always a bright side in our life.
We're going to give you guys a little break with the speeches. We're going to go to the musical part of our program, a chance to feel the power of Palestinian and Arab culture through sound. It's my pleasure to introduce our musicians this evening, Marsil Faragalla. compassion.
So I'm going to speak half Arabic, half English. From one generation to the next, we proudly preserve the Palestinian thought. من جيل لجيل بنحافظ بكل فخر على الثوب الفلسطيني. Sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Nadeen. I am the founder of La Farah Boutique. We are based in Phil. The Palestinian thought is my past, present, and future. It is the key identity to be a Palestinian woman between millions of people. With every stitch carries a story, a root of connection and love to the land we carry. Comes with a great pain and suffer, yet hope for a free Palestine one day. الثوب الفلسطيني هو هويتي، هو حاضري وماضي ومستقبلي، هو هويتي كامرأة فلسطينية بين الملايين. في كل غرزة حكاية نحمل جذر الارتباط والحب للأرض يأتي مع الألم والمعاناة الكبيرة، ولكنني على أمل أن تكون فلسطين حرة يوما ما.
Check her out on Instagram, guys. Naziha Mustafa. I'm actually wearing today my aunt's thobe. Definitely our thobes have so much meaning. And we love when, as a Palestinian, we love when we see non-Palestinians wearing their kufiyas, wearing their thobes. It just melts our heart, so keep it going. I just want to close by saying thank you all so much for being here with us tonight for the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. We heard powerful words from our speakers, clergy, poets, and musicians, reminders that Palestine is not just an issue, but a people, a history, and a living struggle for dignity, safety, and freedom. Solidarity doesn't end when we leave the space. It continues in the conversations we have, the stories we share, the organizing we support, and the communities we build. I also want to take a moment to give special thanks to the American Friends Service Committee for allowing us to use their space, and for their long history of advocating for the Palestinian people. It definitely goes not unnoticed. I also want to give a special thanks to the people who worked so hard to make this event possible and other events, always behind the scenes, always working in our community for Palestine, including Samah Elhajibrahim, Bassam, Jonathon, everyone, as well as all the volunteers, organizers, and partners who contributed in ways seen and unseen. Let's give them a round of applause. On behalf of everyone who helped organize this event, thank you for showing up, for listening, and for standing with the Palestinian people. May we leave here with fuller hearts, clearer purpose, and a renewed commitment to justice.